Electric car sales in Europe have blown up by 29% this year versus last year. In China, the numbers are even better. So far this year, cumulative sales of electric cars in China have risen by a staggering 44%. 44% is truly insane. Disruption is happening now, and the disruption is faster than ever. I don't know why no one's really talking about this. They should be, because certain car companies are getting eaten alive. If you combine the EV transition, the EV disruption, what that's doing to legacy automakers, if you combine that with Trump's tariffs and how that will affect legacy automakers, well, wow, we're going to see some serious bankruptcies over the next 5 years. However, this is a positive news story. And the positive news is that at least one region, well, the biggest car market in the world by a mile, it's twice as big as America's car market. In fact, it's more than twice as big. At least in that country, electric cars are taking over gasoline at the fastest pace we've ever seen. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. It's great to have you with us. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. What is happening here in China is pretty damn remarkable. Wholesale sales of China's passenger NEVs, meaning plug-in hybrids and EVs, most of them being electric cars, were 1.13 million, up 40% year on year and up 36% from February. However, so far this year, CNEV Post says wholesale sales of China passenger EVs totaled 2.85 million, up 44% year on year. 44% growth. If we see this again next year, we're going to be seeing China's NEVs, predominantly electric cars and plug-in hybrids, probably have around 75% market share. There's a good chance by the end of 2027, no more internal combustion cars will be sold in China. That's going to radically change the Chinese automotive industry, but radically change the futures of many car companies because they'll be crushed in China. Now, there is a counter argument to this. I'm going to expect to see some YouTubers say, oh, you're wrong, because, or even mainstream media. They're going to say this, well, vehicle sales in China actually went up by 12% year over year. They went up 12%. I mean, yeah, they went up 12%, but electric car sales went up by 44%. That's a pretty big difference. Anyhow, so far, cumulative sales of passenger cars in China totaled 5 million units, up 5% year on year. So actually for the entire year, sales have only gone up by 5% in China. This kind of puts paid to a lot of these YouTubers making videos saying sensationalist things about China. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand this stuff. I understand the anti-Chinese sentiment from some people. It's certainly scary when you're being disrupted. And like I've said hundreds of times, I don't want this disruption to happen. It's damaging the West too quickly. The West doesn't know what to do. They're panicking. Donald Trump's panicking. Europe's clearly panicking, probably even more than Donald Trump with some of their wild tariffs, putting in tariffs on all these different brands. And, you know, to be honest, no, actually, I take that back. Donald Trump's probably panicking more. But anyhow, so far this year, what this means is that actually NEVs, as in EVs and plug-in hybrids, have taken a 52.3% market share. 52.3%. That is huge. But in the last 2 weeks of March, they took around 56 to 57% market share. Market share is rising. And it's inevitable that whether I'm right or not, whether it's 2027 when internal combustion finishes in China, it doesn't really make a whole lot of difference. If it's 2028, it could be 2026, I don't know, but it's going to happen within a few years' time. This will radically change the entire global automotive industry. I mean, really, if you're selling why would a consumer, in my opinion, it doesn't make sense. If you can get a plug-in hybrid or an electric car, why in the hell would you buy a purely internal combustion engine vehicle and have to go and buy gasoline all the time, have to go and buy diesel or petrol all the time? It is so expensive. Being able to not have to do that, be able to charge off solar. I mean, here in Australia, we have more than 4 million households have solar where they can charge their electric cars for free. It's the same in America. There's many millions of households with solar in Europe as well. I mean, why on earth would most of these people want to have an internal combustion car? But here is the great news that I see. When we do get rid of internal combustion cars, what is likely to happen is much more solar will be installed. In fact, the declining cost of solar and the increasing efficiency of solar panels will correlate perfectly with the declining cost of electric cars. And it's also worth pointing out that often, very, very commonly, when people buy an electric car, they think to themselves, oh shit, why the hell have I been paying for all this electricity? I could have solar panels. I could save myself. In the US, the average you save is 60,000 US dollars over the lifetime of your solar system. Here in Australia, it's over 100,000 Australian dollars. Well over 100,000, depending on the size of the system, depending on who installs it. But the truth is, you save huge amounts of money. In my opinion, you've got to be rich not to have solar. If you don't have solar, you probably walk around thinking, I'm pretty rich. I don't need that. I can afford a Ferrari. Because it doesn't make any sense. It's like throwing money down the drain. But most of the time when people buy an electric car, they think to themselves, well, actually, I don't live in an apartment. Why don't I have solar? I can charge my vehicle for free now. This is awesome. So there's going to be a correlation. A lot more electric car sales, as in massive increases. That S-curve adoption rate is going to skyrocket. We're going to get to that point on that curve where we see massive adoption within a very, very short period of time. We've already gone past pivot points in most Western countries worldwide. And all of a sudden, we're going to see mega disruption of two of the biggest industries in the world, the automotive industry and, of course, the electricity industry. Even the fossil fuel industry will be, look at what China's biggest state-owned, well, not even just state-owned, but it's also the biggest oil company in China. Look at what they're saying. These guys are actually the only really logical oil company in the world. They're investing massively in renewables. They're saying, you know what? Demand for oil is going to tank. It's going to tank. It's going to fall through the floor. Let's be logical. Let's be rational. Let's not try and trick our investors with a bunch of bullshit, telling them, oh, no, everything's great. Everything's business as usual. Everyone's going to keep buying these. You know what? Even if in America, Americans say, no, we don't want EVs. Even if most Americans say that, they could, doesn't really matter, does it? Because actually 80 million cars are sold every year, 80 million. And in America, there's only 16 million. So let's say only 50% of Americans by 2030 buy an electric car. Well, that's a very small percentage of global automotive sales. So even if that does happen, or even if everyone in Australia said, no, I don't want electric cars anymore, we're just going to buy an internal combustion, which is never going to happen, but let's say it did, it would have almost no effect on the global disruption. The global disruption is a worldwide phenomenon. So if you feel emotionally the need to email me and tell me, in my country, you're wrong. In my country, things are shocking. No one's doing what you say. Well, buddy, it's not about what someone does in your suburb or in your street. This is a global phenomenon and it can't be stopped. And should I mention, so it's also been happening in places like Africa and Pakistan. I'll have more videos coming soon on what's happening in those countries.